solution with a new video of class 7 SST history. Our remain part of chapter 3, the Sultans of Delhi. Students, we have accomplished up to Sayyid dynasty. Means today we start from Sayyid dynasty and which is going to end on Lodi dynasty. So only 2 dynasties are left. Students, we talk about Sayyid dynasty. It was flourished up from 1414 to 1451. And students, the Sayyid dynasty ruled the Delhi Sultanate for a short period of time. Student, page number 36. Take on your course book. So, if we talk about the rulers of Sayyid dynasty, the first ruler of Sayyid dynasty was Khijr Khan Sayyid, who ruled from 1414 to 1421. What he did? Khijr Khan, the governor of Multan. Students, you know where is Multan? If you see in map of India, this is in non-Pakistan area of Indian part. That is Multan. Multan is in Pakistan, not in modern time. So Multan during Taimur's rule. So when Taimur was ruler of Delhi, he was 4 years of rule he had been taken, and at that time Khizr Khan was governor of Multan, was the first and most able ruler of the Sayyid dynasty. With Khizr Khan coming to power, Punjab, Multan and Sindh became parts of Sultanate. So students, as you know, when Taimur's invasion occurred in Delhi, it was a tough situation for Delhi's people because of loot of Taimur, and he ruled all over Delhi in 4 years. And students, after that, somehow Sayyid dynasty emerged themselves on the board of Delhi, on the throne of Delhi, and Khizr Khan, who was the Multan's governor at the time of Taimur when he was in rule of Delhi. So he was governor of Multan, and he gathered his power and came on the throne of Delhi on 1414 up to 1421 he ruled. So what he did, the most prominent works he did was Khizr Khan coming to power, Punjab, Multan and Sindh became parts of the Sultanate. Students, so Punjab, Multan, Punjab is in 2 sides. You have to understand Punjab is also in Pakistan and Punjab is also in India. That time it was all together, and it was talking about that whole Punjab and Sindh. So students, Khizr Khan, because Taimur has been rooted Delhi, and he made only, if we talk about the rule, it was only up to in Delhi. So Khizr Khan forwarded their rule up to Punjab and Multan and Sindh, and they all become parts of Sultanate. Okay, after that Mubarak Shah Sayyid, who ruled in Sayyid dynasty from 1434 to 1443. What he did, students? After the death of Khizr Khan, his son Mubarak Shah came to power. So Khizr Khan was the first ruler of Sayyid dynasty. After that, his son Mubarak Shah Sayyid became the ruler of Sayyid dynasty. Some nobles were against him, and for most part of his rule, he tried to control the rebellious nobles. Students, what is rebellious? Rebellious means feeling of revolt. Feeling of revolt. That means so, as you know, for previous sultans also, nobles had and having their prominent role in court. So in the decisions they were somehow, sometime they were not in a high position, sometime they were in good position, and they were also influenced the ruler of that time. So Mubarak Shah was in influence of some nobles, and some nobles were against of him also. So most of part of his rule he always tried to control the rebellious nobles. So that revolt of his nobles and that rebel thinking and against and opposed thinking of his nobles, means ministers you can say, he always been to control their own nobles rebellion. Students, after that Mubarak Shah Said came in rule, and for that after his Alam Shah was the son of Mubarak Shah, after then Muhammad Shah Said. After Mubarak there was Muhammad Shah Said. So Muhammad Shah Said was nephew of Mubarak Shah. Okay, nephew. So Muhammad Shah Said was the nephew of Mubarak Shah Said. He was not an able ruler, and he lost the support of the nobles and ulemas. So like Mubarak Shah was in against opponent of his nobles, like Mubarak Shah, Muhammad Shah also was not very able to achieve the rule, finally, and nobles were against of him also. So students, so he lost the support of ulemas and nobles. He also lost his reign and rule. After that, Alam Shah Said came on the throne. Alam Shah Said was the son of Muhammad Shah Hamid Khan. One of the nobles helped Bahlul Lodi to occupy Delhi in 1451. He abdicated the throne without resistance. With his abdication, the Said dynasty came to an end. So students, after Said dynasty, Lodi dynasty came in emergence, and students, we see the last ruler was Alam Shah Said, and Hamid Khan, one of the nobles of Alam Shah, helped Bahlul Lodi to occupy Delhi in 1451. So students, I have written Lodi dynasty on the board also. Bahlul was the first ruler of Lodi dynasty. Bahlul Lodi, we can say. After that, Sikandar Lodi was the ruler of who founded Agra city, you have to know. And then Ibrahim Lodi was the last ruler of Lodi dynasty. So if we talk about them, so we have to know last ruler Alam Shah Said of Said dynasty, and by the conspiracy of his nobles with the help of Bahlul Lodi, they occupied the Alam Shah Said dynasty, or last ruler of Said dynasty, occupied by Bahlul Lodi, and who was the starter of Lodi dynasty. We see Lodi dynasty 1451 to 1526. This was the period of Lodi dynasty of rule. So the Lodi dynasty was the next to rule the Delhi Sultanate. This was the only Afghan dynasty to rule the Delhi Sultanate. To a great extent, the Lodis succeed in bringing back to the glory of Delhi Sultanate. Students, it is very important. On our Sultanates of Delhi, we see in Afghan rulers. Lodi dynasty was only Afghan rulers of that time. Some connection of Sher Shah Suri was there, but we can say officially Lodi was Afghani. So, to a great extent, the Lodis succeed bringing the back glory of Delhi Sultanate. So, after the failure of Said dynasty, Lodis were enabled themselves and become, a power of center on the throne of Delhi in some time. And Bahlul Lodi was the first ruler of them. Bahlul Lodi took control of the Delhi Sultanate in 1451. Eventually, he established control over Jaunpur. The students, we have to know in our map there is Delhi. So Delhi is the northern part of Uttar Pradesh, and Jaunpur is in UP, is in eastern UP of Uttar Pradesh. So he captured Jaunpur also, which was established by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. You have to know, students, that city was established by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So he captured Jaunpur, and Sikandar Lodi was his successor. After the death of Bahlul Lodi, Sikandar Lodi ascended the throne. He added Bihar to his kingdom. So students, you have to know, after the invasion of Taimur, Delhi has been ruined and has been destroyed. So after that, Sayyid dynasty also tried to make the situation good of Delhi, but they failed somehow. But Lodis were able to try back the situation of Delhi like previous. So what they did, Sikandar Lodi ascended the throne, he added Bihar in his kingdom. So after Delhi and Jaunpur, he added Bihar also in the kingdom of Lodi dynasty, students. Then, although he invaded Bengal, he concluded a treaty and settled the boundaries. So he invaded in Bengal also, and all the three states he had been captured that time and made a wall, all of it, for a map of there. So students, he founded the city of Agra in 1504. Very important, students. In 1504, Sikandar Lodi founded the Agra city, which is in western Uttar Pradesh. So students, he was an efficient administrative. This type of things you have to memorize for yourself, that some rulers were efficient administrator. So if we see, like Sikandar Lodi was also a efficient administrator, that means able administrator. He patronized learned man. He lowered the prices of commodities and provided loans to farmers. So some good thing he did. He decreased the prices of commodities, that means food items or items of home sites, and provided loans to the farmers. So easy loans and less rated loans he provided that time. So it was good thing in rule. And whole UP, Bengal, Bihar, and some part of this whole area was in capture of Sikandar Lodi. Was a prominent ruler who ruled from 1489 to 1517. That means 11 and 17, 28 years. And Agra was founded by him. It is very important to know about Sikandar Lodi, students. So after that, his successor Ibrahim Lodi came on throne in 1517. He was up to 1526, something 9 years. So Ibrahim Lodi succeeded Sikandar Lodi. Lodi, two nobles, Daulat Khan Lodi, the then governor of Punjab, and Alam Khan, uncle of Ibrahim Lodi, sent an invitation to Babur for an invasion of Hindustan. So this is a very prominent historical time, students, that at the time of Ibrahim Lodi, his two nobles were conspired against him, Daulat Khan, the governor of Punjab, and Alam Khan, uncle of Ibrahim Khan. So they sent an invitation to Babur for an invasion of Hindustan. In 1526, Babur captured Delhi and Agra. So it was Battle of Panipat. As 1526, Babur captured Agra and Delhi. This incident put an end to the Lodi rule in Delhi. So students, by this Lodi rule get its end. So you have to know, Babur's invasions get to end of this Delhi Sultanates, and after that Mughals era started. So today we talk about administrative structure of the Delhi Sultanate. Sultan. The Sultan exercised absolute power over the executive, legislature and judiciary. A council of ministers helped the Sultan in carrying out the daily affairs of country. The ministers could be appointed and dismissed at the will of Sultan. So it is talking about the course of that time of Sultanate. Sultan was, you can say, king. So all absolute power he had, and of executive, judiciary and legislature and judiciary, you can say, both three powers was in the hand of Sultan. A council of ministers helped the Sultan, like today a council of ministers helped our prime minister. That time a council of ministers was in help of Sultan of that time also. And in carrying out daily affairs of the country, the ministers could be appointed and dismissed at the will of Sultan. So all appointment and dismissal was in the will of Sultan. You have to know. So some structures or administrations were there. Diwan-e-Wizrat, what was it? It was a department of finance headed by the Wazir, Prime Minister. He looked after the collection of revenue and expenditure of Sultanate. So this was, Diwan-e-Wizarat was in handle of expenditure, is expenses of Sultanate, and it was handled by Prime Minister, Wazir of that time. So he looked after the collection of revenue and expenditure of Sultanate. Both was in the hand of Diwan-e-Wizarat, revenue collection and what expenses which have to be expensed. And after that you see Diwan-e-Risalat. What was it? This department was foreign affairs, handled interactions with other countries. So today's foreign ministry we can say Sultanate time was Diwan-e-Risalat. Okay, students, it was today's foreign affairs, foreign ministry. And after that, Diwan-e-Insaf, what was it? It was the department that looked after the drafting and dispatching of all the royal orders. So students, in the time of Delhi Sultanate, department of all orders which was written and which was drafted and dispatched by Diwan-e-Insaf. What is drafting? That means to conclude what was to be printed or allowed for the seeing of other person. So this all is in hand of Diwan-e-Insaf, who were the department of drafting and dispatching of all royal orders. So after that, Diwan-e-Ariz, what was it? It was a department that looked into the matters related to the wars. So the war related matters were looked after by Diwan-e-Ariz. And Arizi-Mumalik was the minister who maintained the army. And Arizi-Mumalik was the minister who maintained the army. And what was next? Diwan-e-Qaza, the chief judge Qazi, headed Diwan-e-Qaza of the department of judiciary. And Sadr-us-Sudur was in charge of religious matters and Muslim charity works. So Diwan-e-Qaza is a modern time judge, and Sadr-us-Sudur was charge of religious matters and Muslim charity works. So you can say Pule-Matri. So revenue policy. What was the revenue policy of Sultanate? The major taxes that formed the sources of revenue of Sultanate were these: Zakat. This tax was collected only from the Muslims. This was only collected from the Muslims. The amount collected was used for beneficial activities of the Muslim community and for the renovation of religious buildings. So students, it is very important. Zakat, the tax collected by only Muslims, and it was to improvement in religious buildings, to make religious buildings and religious works. So that taxes were collected. And what was jizya? This tax was meant for the non-Muslims. However, women, children, monks and beggars were exempted from this tax. Students, as you know, jizya tax was started from Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So after that, the non-Muslim religious tax was also started. So, however, women, children, monks and beggars were exempted from this tax, but women were not in this era, and frequency children were also not allowed to pay taxes, monks, priests and beggars. So after that there was a tax kharaj. What was kharaj? This tax was also levied on the non-Muslims. This tax amount depend on the total produce from the landed property. So there was a religious tax jizya, and after that there was a simple tax kharaj, and this kharaj was also levied on non-Muslims. You can say Hindu, Sikh and other Christian. So on non-Muslims the tax amount depend on the total produce from the landed property. So the tax was applied according to the total property of that land. So today, students, we concluded chapter 3. In next video, we will come with chapter 4. If we talk about and conclude today's chapter in homework, you have to do a small summary on Sayyid dynasty and Lodi dynasty, and how the Taimur's invasion decreased Delhi Sultanate, and how Lodi dynasty increased that system, and after that what would be there of emergence of new regional kingdoms, chapter 4. So in next video, students, till then have a nice day. Thank you.